Welcome back to another episode of Nurse Me Through It, where we cram from the notes we cried over and somehow still pass. Except today's a little different.
We're diving into anatomy, which means we're bringing in backup. Guest starring the Anatomy Boys.
What's up? I'm Josh. I'll be your mitochondria-loving, cell-dividing co-host today.
And I'm Adam, here to keep it smooth, striated, and slightly sarcastic. Let's get anatomical.
From zygotes to skeletons, let's break it all down.
Let's start where life begins. The zygote. One single fertilized cell that divides through mitosis into trillions of specialized cells.
Mitosis is our go-to for making identical cells for growth and repair. It gives us two diploid cells, which is two identical daughter cells. Meiosis, on the other hand, is for making gametes, which is the sperm and egg, and it creates four genetically unique haploid cells. Double the fun, half the chromosomes.
Exactly. Mitosis is routine maintenance. Meiosis is like genetic roulette. Stages of mitosis: in prophase, chromosomes condense, metaphase lines them up in the middle, anaphase pulls chromatids apart, telophase reforms the nuclear membranes, cytokinesis divides the cytoplasm.
And don't forget interphase, the prep phase when the cell's just doing its job. Now, once the zygote keeps dividing, the cells start to specialize. That's differentiation.
That leads us to the four tissue types: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous.
These tissues all come from three germ layers. The ectoderm forms things like skin and the nervous system. The mesoderm gives us muscle, bone, and blood. And the endoderm becomes internal linings, like your GI and respiratory tracts.
Epithelial tissue covers and lines surfaces. It protects, absorbs, and secretes, like in the skin, lining of the intestines, and glandular tissue. It can be simple or stratified, shaped like squamous, cuboidal, or columnar. Transitional epithelium stretches. Pseudo-stratified epithelium looks layered, but it's not.
Connective tissue supports and holds things together. Loose connective includes areolar and adipose. Dense connective includes regular, like tendons, irregular, like the dermis, and elastic, like ligaments in your spine.
There's also specialized connective tissue, like cartilage, which cushions joints, bone, which stores calcium and supports the body, blood, which transports everything, and lymph, which fights infection.
Muscle tissue comes in three types. Skeletal is voluntary and striated. Cardiac is involuntary, striated, and has intercalated discs. Smooth is involuntary and non-striated, like in blood vessels and the GI tract.
Muscles contract using actin and myosin sliding past each other with the help of calcium and ATP.
Nervous tissue includes neurons, which transmit signals, and neuroglia, which support and protect the neurons.
The autonomic nervous system is part of the peripheral nervous system. It controls involuntary actions, like heartbeat and digestion. The sympathetic division handles fight or flight. The parasympathetic controls rest and digest.
Wound healing has three phases: inflammatory, proliferative, and remodeling. First comes clotting and inflammation. Then fibroblasts build granulation tissue. Finally, the tissue gets stronger and realigned.
Fibroblasts make collagen. Collagen provides tensile strength. Remodeling can take weeks to months. And when we can't regenerate tissue, we get fibrosis, which is scar tissue.
Aging affects connective tissue the most. Less collagen and elastin means saggy skin and slow repair.
Remember those suffixes. Blast means builder, cyte means mature cell, and clast means it breaks down tissue.
Let's talk protein synthesis. It starts with transcription in the nucleus. That creates mRNA. Then translation in the cytoplasm uses ribosomes to assemble proteins.
mRNA carries the message. tRNA brings the amino acids. rRNA forms part of the ribosome. Helicase unzips the DNA during transcription.
Lysosomes break down waste. Ribosomes make proteins. The rough ER transports them, and cholesterol helps stabilize the cell membrane.
Cell transport can be passive, like diffusion and osmosis, or active, which uses ATP.
If tumor suppressor genes fail, cells divide out of control. That's cancer. Benign tumors don't spread. Malignant tumors invade surrounding tissues.
Cancer at the tissue level means the cells forgot when to stop dividing.
Now onto the integumentary system. That's skin, hair, nails, and glands.
The three main layers are the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis, also called the subcutaneous layer.
In thick skin, the epidermis has 5 layers: basal, spinosum, granulosum, lucidum, and corneum. Thin skin skips the lucidum.
The stratum basal is where mitosis happens. Melanocytes here produce melanin, which absorbs UV light and protects DNA. It also prevents folic acid breakdown, but too much melanin can reduce vitamin D production.
The dermis has two layers. The papillary layer has areolar tissue and forms fingerprints. The reticular layer has dense, irregular connective tissue. It houses blood vessels, nerves, sweat glands, sebaceous glands, hair follicles, and sensory receptors, like Meissner's corpuscles for light touch and Pacinian corpuscles for deep pressure.
The hypodermis has areolar and adipose tissue, storing fat, insulating, cushioning, and anchoring skin to muscle. It's also where subcutaneous injections go.
Erector pili muscles cause goosebumps, controlled by the autonomic nervous system.
Sebaceous glands secrete sebum, that oily stuff that moisturizes and protects skin. Sweat glands, especially eccrine, help regulate temperature.
Vitamin D synthesis begins when UVB hits the skin. The liver and kidneys finish converting it to calciferol, which helps absorb calcium. Too little vitamin D can lead to rickets in kids or osteomalacia in adults.
Skin issues? Corns and calluses come from friction. Acne happens when sebaceous glands get clogged. Impetigo is a bacterial infection with crusty sores.
Burns come in degrees. First degree affects just the epidermis. Second degree reaches the dermis and blisters. Third degree goes through both layers and can be painless at first. We also say superficial, partial thickness, deep partial thickness, full thickness, and deep full thickness burns.
A burn is major if it covers more than 15 to 20% of the body. Use the rule of nines to estimate that. Complications include infection, fluid loss, and hypovolemic shock. Eschar, the dead tissue, might need debridement.
The dermis develops from mesoderm. The epidermis comes from ectoderm.
Now bones, the unsung heroes. They support, protect, move, store calcium, and produce blood cells.
Bone types: long, like the femur; short, like carpals; flat, like the ribs; irregular, like vertebrae; and don't forget sesamoid bones, like the patella, that develop in tendons.
Structure-wise, the diaphysis is the shaft. Epiphyses are the ends. Inside the diaphysis is the medullary cavity with yellow marrow. Outside is the periosteum.
Compact bone gives strength. Spongy bone holds red marrow, where blood cells form.
Osteoblasts build bone. Osteocytes maintain it. Osteoclasts break it down. Parathyroid hormone, PTH, raises calcium levels by stimulating osteoclasts. Calcitonin lowers calcium levels.
We've got 206 bones in the adult skeleton. The axial skeleton includes the skull, spine, and ribcage. The appendicular skeleton includes limbs and girdles.
Synovial joints are movable. Ligaments connect bone to bone. Tendons connect muscle to bone. Cartilage cushions joints.
Bone formation is called ossification. Intramembranous ossification forms flat bones, like the skull. Endochondral ossification forms long bones, like the femur.
Fractures heal in 4 stages: hematoma, fibrocartilage callus, bony callus, and remodeling. Fracture types: simple, compound, green stick, comminuted, spiral, and more.
The femur is the longest bone. The stapes in the ear is the smallest. Fontanelles, those soft spots on babies' skulls, allow for brain growth.
Osteoporosis causes brittle bones, especially in postmenopausal women. Calcium, weight-bearing exercise, and vitamin D can help.
And that's it from us, the Anatomy Boys. From zygotes to skeletons, we just carried this episode on our literal connective tissue.
Catch you in your next mitotic cycle.
We're out.
Okay, wow. They crushed that.
Seriously, cells, tissues, skin, bones, all the basics, all in one go.
And it all connects back to how we care for patients every day.
Whether it's explaining a wound, starting an IV, or just knowing what's happening under the skin, it all counts. Now go pass that test, babe.